Hey, well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Tom Sacinti with the National Association of Campus Safety Administrators. It is good to see everyone today. I see some names on our attendee list that logged in that I haven't talked to for a while. Jim Weaver, it's great to see you online with us, man. Hopefully you're doing good at Marietta. Bill Petty and a few other ones, man. So, hey, listen, let me tell you what we're doing today and kind of the purpose. This is kind of new for us. Normally when you have a webinar from NACSA, what you see from us is a learning session and then a product demonstration that has sponsored that learning session. And we just recently went to a conference in South Carolina, and one of the pieces of feedback we got from them is, hey, listen, all the time we are getting people coming in, or all the time we can't get to the conferences that you guys have, and you have these vendor shows and all these products. We need to see what's out there. We need to see what's relevant and available to us without having to go to Florida or Vegas or, Ohio, wherever, right? Because we don't have the money to go to these conferences, but we need to see the technology. We need to hear about it. And so that's what we're doing today. And so, I'll just talk to you as a police chief. So as a police chief, I kind of got wind of this technology and started to work with Dan, who's going to be presenting on it. It's not going to be a long webinar today, because we're only going to talk about the products and we're going to answer some questions. So listen, if you have any questions whatsoever, slide over to the attendee chat and type in your questions while Dan's doing his presentation, and I'll make a list of questions for Dan. And once he's done presenting, I will come back on and ask the questions that you have. So I get this call about what Dan's doing, and I'm going to be honest with you. When he started to tell me about it, I thought, oh, everyone does this, right? Everyone's got this. And then I started to realize, no, actually, no one I know has this, to be honest with you. And it's this digital display that goes on college campuses that we can use for different, we can use for different things. But on top of all the things we can use it for, advertising, marketing ourselves, campus police, we can also use it for the emergency alert system. I think that's an important piece. My last campus I was at, we had a huge walking trail where we had no way to alert our community members without putting out a speaker system, which our college wasn't interested in doing. And so then the other piece of this is, so I'm like you guys, budget's everything. We always struggle with that budget piece. And so Dan's got some amazing funding sources. I'll let him talk to you about that. But I just thought we at my college are working through the process to get some of these on our campus. I really think that it's a great opportunity for our members to at least see it and ask questions about it. Like I said, I've not seen this out there anywhere else with this model set up. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dan. I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about his background. I think that maybe him starting off with why he's doing this. As a chief, it's important to me that I'm not just talking to the sales guy that is the sales guy, right? And that traditional just hound you. Dan has a really good story about, kind of how he got into this business, his background and history, and why he knows that this system and the setup for him is going to work. And so I'll let him kind of introduce that. But also, like I said, as he's talking, the things pop up that you need to ask about. Over on the left-hand side, just type it into the chat, send it directly to me, or you can send it to the whole group if you want to, and I will make sure that we get those questions answered for you. We're recording this session, so if you have to hop off at any point in time, you're going to get a copy of the recording, and on top of that, over in the chat area is Dan's contact information. You can just reach out directly to him. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dan.
Yeah, thanks, Chief, and good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending where you're at in the country. So about 20 years ago, I founded a company that provided various types of static structures to college campuses: newspaper stands, recycling bins, bus shelters, wayfinding signage, so forth and so on. And we were able to provide really just about any type of one of these static structures in exchange for our ability to sell college appropriate advertising. That's what funded everything, and that's what kept all the campuses' budgets in line. About 3.5 years ago, my partners and I decided to sell off that company, which was great, except now I don't have a job. So I asked myself, what's next? And unfortunately, the answer came to me out of necessity and a real world experience, something that happened to my wife, actually, which was, obviously very close to home. So just before my exit, which probably everyone knows about, my wife was taking a class at Santa Monica College, which I'm sure most, if not all of you know, there was a terrible active shooter on campus. And she was literally in the building where this all went down 24 hours before. And we were talking and she was saying, well, geez, if I was there, how would I have known that something was going on campus? She didn't opt in to the campus notification system. She wasn't on their email and she wasn't on their text messages. So I thought to myself, well, how can we get this message out there to students, faculty, staff, and especially the visitors who probably don't know or aren't aware of these notification systems? You can't, unfortunately, reach everyone and get everyone's contact information and have it up to date all of the time. So the light bulb went off. I took 20 years of experience working with over 130 campuses. I teamed up with the best manufacturers, installers, and programmers in the business of digital outdoor, really in an effort just to make our campuses just a little bit safer. And of course, I'm following the same model where we do all of this at no cost to our campus partners. So what I'll go ahead and do now is quickly go over the presentation, and then at the end, I'll be happy to answer any questions anyone might have. Chief, do you see the arrows? Can I flip through the presentation?
You mean just, yeah, right, I can flip through if you want me to.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. Yep, perfect. Okay, so I'll just read this off real quick. Autumn Vision, we provide, again, free, 100% free, there's never a charge, outdoor digital signage safety systems to college campuses all over the country. Again, our primary objective is to keep your students, faculty, and visitors safe. Again, that may not have access, especially if you have an opt-in alert system. And speaking of that, our alert system can tie into any CAP system that you're currently using. So we are not looking to replace any of your existing systems. We're simply looking to add on to it. So we can feed into yours, or you're welcome to log on through our site, which is cloud-based. You can log on through any computer or any smartphone anywhere in the world and activate the system. Couple of safety alert examples, and these are just a few, but there are probably thousands, are active shooter on campus, severe weather alert, depending on what part of the country you're in, kind of the see something, say something, and you could use, no smoking or vaping. You could even use it as a recruiting tool for cadets. I mean, coffee with the chief. It's really, the possibilities are endless. Can we go to the next page, Chief? Thank you very much. Okay, so again, no cost. We take care of it all: manufacturing, delivery, installation, programming, maintenance, you name it. It all rests on our shoulder. The only thing that we really need from your campus is the power itself to keep the screens on. Everything after that falls on our shoulders. The real-time alerts, again, whatever is playing in the loop, you have the ability to take over that loop in case of an emergency situation. Campus messaging, part of it is for college appropriate advertising. That's how we generate our revenue to pay for the program, but we don't want it to be just advertising. So we donate a portion of every loop, again, to campus safety to send out any messages day in and day out. And then again, 24/7, 365, if you ever need to activate the system, the campus or the chief or whatever office is designated is in full control of the emergency feature. The screen stops, the loop stops, and automatically every screen that we place on your campus sends out this emergency message. And one more screen, Chief. Perfect. And in case you guys couldn't tell by the original picture, this is a real detailed spec of the actual screen. You have over 100 colors to choose from. We want these to be customized. We want these to fit in with your campus. So we can make them stand out in a neon red if you wanted us to, or we can make them, you know, kind of a light brown or you know, whatever your campus colors happen to be. And we also will place your logo at the bottom, similar to the original sample. They're only 31 by 70 inches tall by 9 inches deep. So in an outdoor footprint, they're very, very small. The screen size is 55 inches. What's very important to know about these screens is they run at 3,500 nits. And nits is basically just a level of brightness. Why is that important? We are competing with the sun. So if any of you guys try to, watch a TV screen at home and open up the blinds, all of a sudden you couldn't see the screen because those indoor screens run at about 250 to 350 nits. So our screens are about 10 times brighter. The operating temperature, you can see here, we have 162 degree range. So hopefully none of you have to deal with the temperatures under -40 or over 122. So we are okay with the elements, and that's what the IP56 rating is all about. Last but not least, communication. How do we send the signals to these? We send them through cellular. Why do we do that? In the very rare instance that your campus loses all power, which means our screens would lose power, we have a backup battery supply in there. And since our communication is through cellular, this is a way to possibly, or maybe the only way to send out these messages. The screen will stay on for another few hours, and you can still control what's on that screen, which is really, really neat. And that'll just about do it for our program. And Chief, if you want to go back maybe to the first screen so the folks can see.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, perfect. And then let's open it up to questions.
Yeah, so I've got a couple here for you, Dan. So one is integration with other alert systems. Could you kind of, so some of the terminology you used wasn't real familiar to everyone. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about integration, I mean, you talk about like with Rave and that kind of stuff, would you be able to send an alert?
Yeah, great question. So all emergency systems run on something called CAP, which stands for Common Alert Protocol. And that's the same language that our systems use. So since we're both basically talking the same language, our CAP system can talk to any other CAP system, the Raves, the LiveSlaves, the Blackboard Connects, anyone that's on a CAP system, we can integrate our system. So in case of an emergency, you don't have to go to our site and theirs. You can just go on theirs, and any message you type on there will also simultaneously be placed on our screens.
Okay. How about color? So you said you can choose a color, but the truth is, you know, when I was at Furman purple is different than regular purple. You know what I mean? Like how many? You only have one purple option. You only have one red option, or are there multiple shades?
Well, yeah, there's several options, and if worse comes to worse, and we can't do an identical match, the campus would just need to provide us with their campus colors, and then we'll just do a color match of our own. All campuses have a kind of a standard, you know, template with their they're usually called RAL numbers, RAL numbers. So you would just give us your RAL number, and we would purchase something kind of outside those hundreds. So technically there's thousands of colors. Very rarely do we have an issue not matching our colors, but if it's something kind of out of the box, a very special purple or green or blue or whatever the case may be, we actually have the ability to do an exact color match.
Okay, so we got a couple of really good questions coming in. Richard and James both kind of had the same question on, you know, hey, listen, let's talk about this ad. So the truth is, this is getting funded through ads. Now, the advantage to us as Campus Chiefs is we're not out there trying to find ads. We're not out there trying to sell ads. That's not our responsibility, if I understand that correct. You guys handle all of that, but
we do it.
What kind of ads are they, and how often are they going to run through?
Okay, so there's a 1 minute loop that runs, and a portion of it is, again, for the advertising. The other portion would be for campus safety, and we donate about 30%. So anytime we don't have anything sold, we donate that back to campus safety, or really whatever your campus wants to use it for. It doesn't have to be for campus safety, but obviously, that's the department that we're in and that we're focused on. So we have about a 70% fill rate. That leaves 30%.
And let me see this. What kind of ads are we looking at? Are we talking local advertising?
Yeah. So yes. So at the end of the day, no matter how big or small a company is, they're all local, unless it's online, and we don't do a whole lot of online. So as far as what we call appropriate types of advertising is, housing is common, cellular, automobile, banking, restaurants. Those are the types of advertising you could kind of expect to see on your campus. But we also have a disqualified list. So we have 6 categories that we automatically disqualify. Those 6 are no tobacco, no alcohol, no sexually explicit material, no weapons, no gambling, and no politics. So those are automatically disqualified. If there's any other categories that your campus doesn't want to see for whatever reason, you simply let us know and you'll never see them. Typically, once the campuses see those 6 items, they're usually pretty comfortable with all the other types of advertising that they see that's, to be honest, probably already on your campus, whether it's through your campus newspaper or maybe your athletics, on your Coke or Pepsi vending machines. It's all kind of the usual suspects when it comes to that.
So Dan, I think that's a good point. When you and I talked, that kind of stuff, I was like, initially, it's like there's no way this is going to happen. We can't advertise stuff, but realistically, the campuses are advertising all the time. Campus newspapers are a great example, right? I mean, that's kind of how you got your foundation, was through that advertising to things like that, correct?
Yes, it's everywhere, and I think the fact that we're adding a safety component to it, where we didn't have that ability before because it was static, I think is a game changer. I mean, I don't know anything more important than keeping our campus safer. I mean, if our campuses aren't safe, I really don't know if anything else really matters after that.
All right. So we got a lot of questions, and I don't know the answer to this. It's a good question. Something we experience in campus law enforcement during a mass emergency or weather related is the loss of cell towers. Is there a way to run like an Ethernet cable to the unit, or to connect it to the Wi-Fi as a backup in case cellular towers go down?
So yes to all of those questions. So we can run Ethernet, but obviously that gets a little pricier. So we're trying to avoid these additional costs. So the answer, or I should say, so yes, you can run Ethernet, but the most obvious, simplest solution is we can tie your campus Wi-Fi in as a redundant backup system. Historically, cell towers are a little bit more resilient than Wi-Fi, which is why we went with them. And passwords change and so forth and so on. So this was just a way to make sure that we can constantly communicate. But again, I think that's a great question, and we can do all of the above. Again, Wi-Fi is probably a little bit easier, but if a campus, I guess theoretically we could do it 3 ways: cellular, Ethernet, and Wi-Fi. So
I think that's something that attracted me when I started looking at it, is that really I can really, anywhere I can get a power to, which all of our light poles have power, right?
Correct.
Anywhere I can get power to, I don't have to worry about running that Ethernet cable, if we don't have the funding for that kind of stuff. So I was pretty interested in that. How about branding? Can you put the university logo on the bottom? You got a big space on the bottom. Can we put university logo on there? Can we brand that a little bit on the bottom?
You can do anything you want to the displays. We just have a larger area to work with at the bottom. But if you rather have your logo on the top, and for example, if you wanted to put an emergency number, because what we do is we put weatherproof adhesive vinyl logos on the metal portion, of this. So if you wanted to, again, you could maybe put your logo on top and an emergency number that's always there. We don't have to wait for the screen to change. We could do something like that. So I would say your imagination is really the limit to what we can do with our displays, both color and what information you want on there and so forth and so on.
All right, how about public versus private? Do you guys care if I'm a private institution? Can I apply for this?
Do not care. Public, private, we strive to make campuses safer. We don't differentiate between the two.
Is it a one-sided screen or is there a screen on both sides?
It is a one-sided screen for two reasons. One, a double-sided screen, even though you think it would cost less, amazingly it costs more. We could buy two of these for separately for less than it being a double-sided screen. So that's one reason. But the real reason is typically when we place these on a campus, it's very, very hard to find a good spot with both sides being equally visible. I would say about half the time these are against the wall or very near a wall, which means, it's basically useless at the end of the day.
All right, man. That's good. I didn't think about that because you're right. And also, I would imagine you can't really put that in the middle of traffic. Pedestrian traffic. So it makes sense to put it somewhere where you see one side. What so how do you decide how many you put on a campus? And I mean, one of our questions is, and I'll just read to you: how many signs do you offer? How does that work with you?
Yeah, so it's a tough question to answer because every campus is so different. So we look at campus population, campus enrollment size, the actual square footage of the campus. But really the best way, there's not an exact formula. So we scrutinize every campus and we try and offer the most signs we possibly can. But the easiest way for me to answer that is I would just kind of think about how many high traffic areas are there on a campus. I mean, we can easily put 50 of these probably on average on a campus, but unfortunately, from a funding standpoint, that would be impossible for us to do. So you want to think about, well, how many truly high traffic walkways are there on your campus? The usual places or suspects that we place them on, we'll put one near the bookstore, commons, library, maybe a quad area or main campus entrance. So we're really looking for that heavy, high traffic walkways. So if you can think about, well, there's probably 3 of those or 4 of those or 5 of those on our campus, that'll probably give you a good gauge of how many we would like to have on your campus as well. But we'll work with each campus to figure out the maximum number that we can place.
Hey, here's a great question. How about maintenance? Thing breaks. Who's responsible for maintaining that?
Everything short of the power supply rests on our shoulders. So we have maintenance that comes every other weekend just to make sure it's clean, all the parts are working correctly. If we need to step that up to once a week, we will. But again, if there's any damage, if something stops working, it doesn't matter. It's all our responsibility.
All right. I don't see any other questions. Something I'll just mention is one of the things that I personally really liked about this is something that I'm going to own in the police department, and so I'm going to control the messaging. It's not me going to another department on my campus trying to get my messaging on there. I own it. So, I mean, one of the things that we envision doing with it is putting up officer profiles on this, putting up information about our safety app, putting up all this other stuff, so that's where I envision it going with us. And something I think is kind of, I think it's important for us as a police department. Everyone else owns pieces to that puzzle. We're always begging for that. I think it's nice for us to own it. This is our sign. It's a campus safety sign. We put campus safety information up there, and that's what it's designed for. And so I think that's a cool, different feature. That maybe we haven't had the opportunity for, and of course, the budget for. And when you're going to your boss asking for money, for signs like this, and all of a sudden, now marketing's paying for some of it, and housing's paying for some of it, and everybody's getting their foot, their hands into the cookie jar there, and you run it out. So I think it's a great concept. Anything you want to throw out there, Dan, before we log off?
I really just want to thank you, Chief, for setting this up, and for all the folks that took time out of, I'm sure, your hectic schedule to be a part of this webinar. And if anyone has any other questions or hopefully interest in our program, I'd love to hear from you. My contact information is at the top of the attendee chat. Anytime today, tomorrow, next week, whatever works best. I'd love to hear from everyone.
All right, cool. Sounds good. And I'll print the list of chats in case we missed anything, and Dan will reach out to you guys directly with any answers in case I missed any of these chats. So great. Talk to you guys later. Have a great day. Thank you so much, everyone.